I appreciate you coordinating this. I'm very excited. I wish I could come to Italy to be there myself in person. I love to say that I was very interested in math and science. I was naturally good at it, but I had no idea about the connection of math, science, and engineering. I do, however, have a very expensive shopping habit. And when I was growing up, my father said to me, my father's from Calabria, my mother's from Rome. So they said, you need to get a job position that you can afford to do all the shopping. So I was so good with math and science that someone suggested engineering. And at the times, computers were fairly new. So I loved them, and I thought programming was so easy. I loved robots, and I thought that I would love to do this. So that's what I went into, was computer engineering as an undergraduate. And when I graduated, I really still didn't know what engineers did. I thought computer engineers, we build computers. So I went to work for Intel as a computer architect. Back then it was called Digital Equipment Corporation. So I designed CPUs for many different processors over the years. And then afterwards, I always wanted to teach, though, in my heart. I always wanted to be a teacher. So my father decided that because my company paid for my master's and PhD, full-time, free, that I decided I would try to become a professor. So now I have the best of all worlds. I get to teach what I like, I get to work with young students, and I get to do research that's actually benefiting humanity. Young girls today, they're looking at what's on TV. They see these beautiful models, and if one of their friends says, "Oh, you don't want to be an engineer," they're ugly and they have no personality. No young girl wants to be that. So it was unfortunate, but a lot of people see the girls that have been my students, and they think that I go out and I recruit them like movie stars, and I laugh because all students look like that. It's very difficult to find one that fits the negative that they're trying to perpetuate. So it's true, but the young girls today are very aware of what they look like and what their peers think of them. So it was a very common sense approach. And here in the United States, they've spent hundreds, thousands of dollars trying to investigate why girls' brains are different than boys. And I say, stop wasting your money. Turn on the television. No, as a matter of fact, when I was an undergraduate student, there were very few females in my class. And then when I became a professor, they asked me to be a mentor for women. And when I got to my university, there were no women students in electrical or computer engineering. So there was no one for me to mentor. However, I was shocked that here I was years later graduating and that there were fewer women students at my university as a professor, and I was the only female faculty. As a matter of fact, I've been there the longest out of all the female faculty. We have a new dean, and they've hired other women, but there's been a very high turnover of women leaving. And electrical and mechanical engineering are still by far the least representative fields for women around the world. And that's very sad because it's such an exciting field. And women have such wonderful contributions to make that I don't know why we should keep them out. We should be inviting them and embracing them to pursue these avenues. The worldwide director of Women in Engineering, I will go to certain countries and they laugh. They say 50% of our women are engineers, and it's an accepted type of profession for women. And yet here in the most progressive, forward-thinking nations, such as the United States, less than 18% of all women and of engineering degrees are giving out to women. So it says, well, what's wrong? There's definitely a problem. Women have a unique perspective to bring to the table. I'll give you an example. When my first girls of Nerd Girls designed a solar car, the boys wanted the car to go very fast. They didn't care about safety. They didn't care how it looked. The girls would not step foot inside the car because they were mostly concerned about safety and reliability. They didn't care about how fast it went or whether it won the race. So very different perspectives. And I think you need both to meet a nice total solution. But we also need to stop telling children that unless you're the very best at math and science, then you can be an engineer, because we're putting limitations on them. And you can't tell a child at 6, 7, or even 12 years old, you didn't do well in math, you will never be an engineer, because that's not fair. So when we put filters on at young ages, we convince them not to become, or not to try, not to use their imagination. We should be encouraging imagination and creativity and the values that young girls also like. They don't associate the fact that if they can sew or cook, those types of, or even dressing up dolls or doing hair and worrying about fashion, they don't look at that as mechanical engineering skills or some artistic skills to design or draw, that those are all very valuable creative skills that engineers use and need. So we need to start valuing the things that young girls do. And then the projects we choose have to also be appealing to both genders, women and men. For instance, if a lot of my girls don't like cars, but they all love biomedical applications and helping people. So everybody loves leaving a long-lasting impact on society or helping an individual or community. So those are the types of projects we should be promoting and encouraging all youth, that it is an equal opportunity gender profession, and how exciting it is, and try to show them the wonderful things that we're doing with robots and the things that we're doing with solar energy and the new technologies that we need them to help build the future for.